Battle Through the Heavens Episode 173. As Zi Yan advances to the Dou Sheng level, with a single move he took care of the attack on the Falling Star Pavilion by 3 half-Sheng experts. He even forced a Dou Sheng from the Han clan to reveal himself. After Zi Yan's great battle with the Han clan's Dou Sheng, the great Dou Sheng was beaten and forced to flee in disarray. In the end, the Falling Star Pavilion won a great victory. However, Zi Yan wouldn't let the Ming alliance off so easily. Zi Yan is about to start his revenge. He and Yao Lao led their experts and directly wiped out the Ming alliance. At least 20 affiliated sects were completely annihilated. This action greatly intimidated other factions. During the Falling Star Pavilion's revenge campaign, the Han Hall remained silent, not offering their ally the Ming alliance any support whatsoever. But Zi Yan and the others did not let their guard down. They knew well the treacherous ways of the Han Hall. The current peace was likely them gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to deal a fatal blow to the Falling Star Pavilion. Facing this enormous potential threat, Zi Yan dared not be careless. Even though he had become a true Dou Sheng expert, when confronting the Han Hall and the terrifying power of the Han clan, he still needed to be extremely cautious. To truly stand against the Han Hall, forming an alliance became particularly urgent. As the Falling Star Pavilion's forces withdrew, 2 experts from the pavilion carried letters and headed to the Flower Sect and the Burning Flame Valley at top speed. If they could convince them to join, the alliance's power would be greatly enhanced. As long as these 3 major factions agreed to ally, other sects would naturally flock to join them. At this moment in the main hall of the Flower Sect, 2 mysterious women in pale yellow robes sat in the main seats, discussing with everyone whether to join the alliance. The final decision was handed to the cold and indifferent woman who had been silent all along. Under everyone's gaze, she agreed to the alliance to fight the Han Hall together. Hearing this decision, the weight on Yan Yan's heart was finally lifted. After a slight hesitation, the other elders also agreed. The woman in yellow said with a wry smile, "I knew my sister would decide this way," recalling how back then, for that person's sake, stubbornly defies his master. But she also knew that person wouldn't care about any of this. In a bamboo forest deep within the Burning Flame Valley, a red-haired old man furiously slammed a scroll onto the stone table, clearly stating his unwillingness to oppose the Han Hall. Tangzin and Tang Heuer, who were present, faced with the old man's fiery temper, could only smile helplessly. After a fit of coughing, the old man's face turned even redder. The old man suddenly proposed a condition. If Zi Yan became a 1-star Dou Sheng at such a young age, and was also handsome, he should marry Tang Heuer. Only then would he consider the alliance. Hearing this, Tang Heuer immediately blushed with embarrassment and angrily slapped the old man's back. Tangzin cleared his throat, stopping his daughter's unruly behavior. He then told the ancestor that the other party promised if they agreed, the alliance would help resolve the hidden ailment in the ancestor's body. The red-haired old man raised an eyebrow and asked, "And if I don't agree?" Tangzin replied with a faint smile, "Even if we don't ally, Zi Yan is still willing to help." The old man was silent for a moment and expressionlessly put down the fruit in his hand. He said faintly, "This young man is quite sensible." Finally, as the red-haired old man stood up and stretched, a powerful aura slowly emanated from him, filling the entire space. He lamented that he hadn't shown his face in many years, and wondered if anyone on the continent still remembered the name of Ancestor Xiao Yan. In the main hall of the Falling Star Pavilion, Zi Yan learned from the 2 elders that both the Flower Sect and the Burning Flame Valley had agreed to join the alliance. This good news brought a sigh of relief to Cai Lin and the others present. Although the first battle was a success, Yao Lao reminded everyone that relying solely on the support of the Flower Sect and Burning Flame Valley was far from enough. They must get the Pill Tower to join the alliance to truly stand against the Han Hall. Zi Yan expressed his agreement. He understood that the Pill Tower held unparalleled charisma. Their attitude would determine the success or failure of the alliance. However, the Pill Tower had always remained neutral. Persuading them to change their stance would be no easy task. After some discussion, Zi Yan and Yao Lao decided to go to the Pill Tower personally to negotiate. After entrusting the pavilion's affairs to Cai Lin and the others, the 2 Dou Sheng experts set off immediately. With their extraordinary strength, they arrived at the Holy Pill City in half a day. Arriving in this familiar city again, Zi Yan couldn't help but recall the past at the Pill Gathering, when he thwarted the Han Hall's expert. Back then he turned the tide and secured the championship honor for the Pill Tower. This past connection might play a positive role in the negotiations. In the reception hall on the top floor of the Pill Tower, Dao Lao and the long-unseen Zhuan Kongzi, as well as Tialei Zi and Zhuan Yu, 3 old friends. When old friends meet, the atmosphere is exceptionally warm. The special affection Zhuan Yi showed upon seeing Yao Lao made Zi Yan realize there seemed to be an unusual history between them. After the pleasantries, the conversation turned to the main topic. Yao Lao explained in detail the plan to form an alliance to fight against the Han Hall. After listening, Zhuan Kongzi looked troubled and said, "The elders within the Pill Tower are conservative. Breaking tradition to join an alliance would be very difficult." Yao Lao pointed out solemnly, "The Han Hall is brewing a massive conspiracy. Fighting alone will only lead to being defeated one by one. Only by uniting can they survive." At this point, Zhuan Yi mentioned, if that mysterious ancestor were present, things would be much simpler. Zi Yan asked curiously and learned that this ancestor was actually one of the founders of the Pill Tower. His true form is a medicinal pill. This special being has wandered the mortal world for years, experiencing life by possessing stillborn infants. His whereabouts are unpredictable. The ancestor's attitude will directly decide the alliance's fate. Unfortunately, no one knows his whereabouts at the moment. Facing this new situation, Zi Yan and Yao Lao realized that to convince the Pill Tower to join the alliance, they might first need to find this mysterious ancestor. In the Great Hall on the top floor of the Pill Tower, the true identity of the Pill Tower's ancestor. When he learned that this mysterious ancestor was not actually human, Zi Yan was so shocked his scalp tingled. In his mind, the first thought that came to him was a D-tier medicinal pill. Zhuan Kongzi smiled and refuted this guess. He explained that D-tier medicinal pills were extremely rare even in ancient times, and no one in the world today can refine one. This ancestor's true identity is actually a mutated grade 9 Zhuan pill. As Zhuan Kongzi continued his story, a long-forgotten piece of history slowly unfolded. Back then, one of the founders of the Pill Tower, in the last year of his life, poured all his effort into refining a grade 9 pill. The moment the pill was formed, this alchemy grandmother also exhausted his life force, but miraculously, a sliver of his consciousness merged with the pill in a special way, making this wine-grade profound pill to undergo an unprecedented mutation. After this mutated pill took human form, it did not choose to leave, but stayed in the Pill Tower as a guardian. In a sense, the ancestor is an independent individual, yet he also carries a part of that senior's will. As time went by, the ancestor stepped forward many times during the Pill Tower's crises, establishing an unparalleled status. But once the Pill Tower was stable, he began his aimless travels, constantly changing identities in the name of experiencing life. No one could find a trace of him. Zi Yan's heart surged with emotion. He knew that grade 9 pills were divided into Bao, Zhuan and Jin tiers. Nowadays, even a grade 9 Zhuan pill is a rare sight, let alone the legendary D-tier pills. To be able to refine a grade 9 Zhuan pill, that senior's strength must have reached at least the 5-star, or even 6-star Dou Sheng level. This gave him a new appreciation for the past glory of the Pill Tower. Returning to the matter of the alliance, with the ancestors' whereabouts unknown, major decisions for the Pill Tower must be decided by a vote in the small Pill Tower's Council of Elders. This Council of Elders has 10 seats. Although the 3 giants each hold 1 seat, that only gives them 3 votes. The remaining 7 elders are more senior, and also more conservative in their thinking. They would likely oppose the alliance plan, just as everyone was lost in thought. 2 of the 7 elders held deep grudges against the Han Hall. If they could be persuaded, they would secure 5 votes. Under the guidance of Zhuan Kongzi, everyone passed through a hidden spatial tunnel and entered the small Pill Tower. The 3 of them went to announce the alliance matter. A few hours later, they returned with news. They could indeed get 5 votes of support, but in 3 days, a new elder would be added to the council, and the most likely candidate, Old Monster Ho, had a history of friction with Yao Lao. He would likely cast the crucial opposing vote. Faced with this tricky situation, Zhuan Yi made a bold suggestion. Since Yao Lao had lost his eligibility by leaving the small Pill Tower, then Zi Yan, as the pill-gathering champion, could very well compete with Old Monster Ho for this elder seat. However, this contest would be anything but easy. After all, Old Monster Ho had once nearly defeated Yao Lao at the pill gathering. After some discussion, they concluded that although Old Monster Ho was very experienced with Zi Yan's current abilities, he was indeed qualified to compete with him. Yao Lao agreed with this proposal. He said with a hint of pride, "This is a good chance to let Old Monster Ho know that not only could I beat him back then, but now even the disciple I trained can surpass him." Zi Yan felt a bit helpless, but he understood this was crucial for the alliance, and he must give it his all. Old Monster Ho could summon an 8-colored pill lightning 20 years ago. Now he has likely reached the level of a 9-colored pill lightning. This means Zi Yan must refine a grade 9 pill in order to win. After a moment of thought, Zi Yan calmly said he was willing to try. After getting Zi Yan's affirmative answer, Kongzi and the other two immediately began to arrange matters for the competition. When Yao Lao, Ziyan, accompanied by Kongzi and the other two arrived at the plaza, many people immediately came forward to exchange pleasantries with Yao Lao. Just then, a discordant voice shattered the harmonious atmosphere. A small skinny old man in a gray robe pushed through the crowd and walked over. It was old Monster Ho. His face was stern, and his words were filled with obvious sarcasm. He brought up Yao Lao's past of leaving the small pill tower. It was clear that the grudge between the two went back a long time. When old Monster Ho provocatively said he wanted to see Yao Lao's progress over the years, Yao Lao calmly stated that he was not the one competing this time, and said his disciple Ziyan would participate in the elder selection. Upon hearing this, old Monster Ho immediately turned his gaze to Ziyan. After seeing Ziyan's age, he let out a disdainful sneer, questioning Ziyan's qualifications to participate in the selection. Kongzi immediately stepped forward to explain, pointing out that Ziyan was the champion of this year's pill gathering and completely met the requirements for participation. After learning that Ziyan was the pill gathering champion, old Monster Ho's expression became even uglier. He belittled the standard of this year's pill gathering, but was immediately refuted by Zhuanyi. When Zhuanyi mentioned that, during the pill gathering Ziyan had refined a pill that attracted a colorless pill lightning, the surrounding elders all showed expressions of surprise. Being repeatedly refuted made old Monster Ho lose face. He snorted coldly and threatened to teach Ziyan a lesson on Yao Lao's behalf. Before leaving, old Monster Ho left a harsh threat, saying that once he was elected as an elder, will surely make Yao Lao and the others return empty-handed. Watching old Monster Ho's angry retreating figure, Yao Lao turned and said to Ziyan, "This time we must shatter old Monster Ho's dream of becoming an elder." Ziyan smiled slightly at his teacher and solemnly promised, "Teacher, rest assured." As the bell rang, 7 ancient figures appeared silently on the stone platform in the plaza. Ziyan stood in the crowd, his gaze sweeping over the 7 elders. He keenly sensed that 4 of them had exceptionally powerful auras, especially the old man in linen clothes in the center, who had actually reached the initial stage of a two-star Dosheng. This made him deeply realize the true hidden strength of the Pill Tower. No wonder it could contend with the Hall of Souls for hundreds of years. Just as Ziyan was observing the Great Elder, the other party seemed to sense it, and cast a profound gaze his way. An invisible spiritual pressure followed. However, the current Ziyan was no longer who he used to be. He remained unfazed in the face of this pressure. Seeing Ziyan so composed, a trace of approval flashed in the Great Elder's eyes. He then announced the start of the test. He briefly and concisely explained the rules. Participants could freely use the medicinal ingredients on the mountain. The winner would be decided by the grade of the refined pill. As the Great Elder's voice fell, several elders who had qualified for the competition walked into the center of the plaza one after another. Under everyone's surprised gazes, Ziyan also calmly and unhurriedly walked towards an empty area. The Great Elder timely introduced Ziyan's identity, the disciple of Yao Chen, the champion of this year's pill gathering. This introduction caused a stir of whispers in the crowd. Many people felt that Ziyan was too young. They thought he was probably just there to gain experience. After the test officially began, cauldrons of various shapes were taken out one by one. As everyone prepared to light their fires and start refining, Ziyan made an unexpected move. He extended his right hand, and a brownish-purple flame rose from his palm, instantly condensing into a cauldron made entirely of flames. This exquisite fire control technique immediately attracted everyone's attention. A flame cauldron requires extremely high spiritual control. The slightest carelessness would lead to failure in pill refinement. Seeing this scene, old Monster Ho, who was not far away, just snorted coldly, thinking it was just a flashy but impractical trick. What was even more puzzling was that, after condensing the cauldron, Ziyan did not immediately start refining the pill. Instead, he closed his eyes. Just as everyone was feeling confused, he took out a verdant green Bodhi seed. That this was the main ingredient for refining the Bodhi pill, they could not help but frown, because the Bodhi pill could at most attract a 9-colored pill lightning. It probably was not enough to defeat old Monster Ho. However, Ziyan had his own plans. He had experienced 100 reincarnations under the Bodhi tree. The pill refining experience he had accumulated was far beyond ordinary imagination. Although on the surface, he indeed could not compare to old Monster Ho's hundreds of years of research. The insights gained from those reincarnations were enough for him to create a miracle in this competition. This time Ziyan was preparing to refine a Tier 9 pill. Only by doing so could he overpower old Monster Ho for the sake of the alliance, and secure a chance of winning.